Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
Hey guys, Amber here with the Meeple family, and today I'm going to be giving you a look at a new dexterity competitive game that's coming to Kickstarter, and that is Moku Tower, The Endless Column. Now, the same designer has another game that came out that is called Moku Tower Original, and these games can actually be played in conjunction with one another. So let's go ahead and head down to the table, and I'll give you an idea of how this game plays. And at the end of the video, as always, I'll give you my thoughts on Moku Tower, The Endless Column. Now, Moku Tower can actually be played with 2 to 6 players, although the ideal player count for this game is definitely 3 players, and I'll get into that in just a moment. The recommended age is 7 and up, and it does take about 20 to 30 minutes to play. So before we get started, let's talk about the dark endless column and the pale endless column. These endless columns are going to serve as the base for which you stack your rocks upon. One player will be using the dark endless column, while the other player will stack upon the pale endless column. Whoever is using the dark endless column will be the player that draws our mission and challenge cards if needed. Now, one of the things that makes this game so unique are the beautiful components that come within it. And within the endless column edition, you're going to have 7 different types of standard rocks. And these are going to be divided into 3 color categories: pale, red, and dark. You're also going to have 4 mini rocks. And these are also going to be divided into dark, pale, and red. A unique feature in the endless column edition is also the addition of these dice. The game comes with these 2 dice, and in addition to one player being the dark endless column, one being the pale endless column, the other will be called the Invader. And this is why that 3-player count is really ideal. If by chance you didn't have 3 players, you would just remove the dice component from the game. But with 3 players, the 3rd player will take on that role of Invader. So let's quickly break down the different icons on these dice. Both dice contain 6 faces and 3 different icons. Each icon shows up twice on each die. As the Invader player, you're also going to have a base, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And on your turn as the Invader, you're going to be actively rolling these die while your opponents are stacking rocks to fulfill the mission and challenge cards. So let's quickly break down the 3 icons that we can see on these dice. When you get the catapult icon on both dice, you can attack any tower once with the dice. You need to use the firing base as support and fire with only one finger. When you get the challenge icon on both dice, you will draw a challenge card for that round. If by chance there's an existing challenge card in place, the new one that you've drawn as the Invader will supersede the existing one. And the last icon is the time's up icon. When this is revealed on both dice, the current round ends. If no player has completed the mission, the cards will be discarded and no marks will be revealed. So as we've briefly discussed, the game does come with a pretty decent stack of mission cards and challenge cards. So let's take a closer look at these mission and challenge cards. Now, in order to start the game, the dark stacker is going to draw a mission card, and it's going to be revealed so that everyone can see the mission. So here at the top, it tells us the minimum total number of rocks needed in the tower. So this particular mission needs 5 rocks. Some of the missions also give color requirements. So this picture in the middle, as well as the bottom description, tells us that we need a dark and a red rock in our stack of 5 rocks. There may also be size requirements, and we can see that depicted here by the icon as well as the bottom description, where it says we need 1 mini rock. Now, some cards, like this one, will also have a challenge icon. If this appears, the dark stacker player is also going to turn up a challenge card in conjunction with the mission card. And of course, each missions card is also going to have points associated with it for the winner of that mission. Now, the challenge cards simply contain an extra requirement that players need to fulfill in order to gain points for the round. For example, this challenge, in association with the mission, must be done using only the right hand. So now that we understand the components of the game, let me briefly show you how a round would work. To get started, simply shuffle the mission and challenge cards separately. In each round, there's going to be 3 active players with 3 different distinct roles. In the first round of the game, the youngest player will take take the dark endless column and become the dark stacker. The player on their left will take the pale endless column, becoming the pale stacker. And the player on their right will take the firing base and 2 dice and become the invader. To start the game, the dark stacker will draw a missions card. And for this particular example, they don't need to draw a challenge card because there's no challenge card icon. This particular mission card tells us that we need to have 5 rocks stacked. There needs to be a dark and a red rock and 1 mini rock, and whoever earns this mission will get 4 points. The game ends once one player has successfully reached 20 points. The dark stacker will initiate gameplay by saying go, and both the dark and pale stacker will work to complete the mission, while the invader rolls their dice trying to get matching icons to be revealed. As soon as the invader is able to get a matching icon, they can take that associated action. And if by chance the invader gets the same icon on both dice 2 consecutive times, they scream Moku and win the round. Now the winner of the round would take the mission card and any challenge cards associated with that round and score the points as indicated on the cards. After a round, we'll go ahead and restore our towers to their starting position and go ahead and pass both endless columns and 2 dice and firing base clockwise. And that's a quick look at how to play Moku Tower Endless Column. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me as I did a quick how to play of this really beautiful and unique dexterity game. Josh and I and the kids definitely had a lot of plays of this one, and this is one my kids loved. This is such a great, quick, easy game to have accessible. I think of it as like the perfect coffee table game. You just kind of want to have it out and on display because it really is beautiful. And there is something about these components when people see them, they're just so beautiful. And you want to pick them up, you want to stack them, and you want to know how this game works. Now, ideally, this game is really preferred to be at a 3-player count, but they did give you the option just to remove the dice from the game, but you do lose out on that invader role. And I can tell you, playing with 3 players is much more suspenseful because there is something about hearing that invader rolling those dice while you're trying to concentrate and stack your tower that is so anxiety inducing. There were a couple times where I was the invader and I would get that catapult symbol, meaning that I could launch one of the dice from the firing base and try to target one of the stacking columns. For some reason, every time I did it, I could not get their rocks to fall over. But of course, when Josh was doing the firing, every time without fail, my rocks were tumbling down. Well, I will tell you, after playing this game several times, I have learned about myself that I am not a good rock stacker. So I don't know if I just cannot see the angles of these, but they were constantly falling over and I was so slow. And then Josh and my kids were just so fast building their towers. The only time I really stood a chance were the mission cards that weren't worth as many points because they can vary, I think, anywhere from 1 point to 4 points. And typically the 1 point missions were like, you know, stack 2 rocks. I mean, nailed it. But when it got up to like 4 and 5 rocks, I was struggling. So who is this game for? Well, I can tell you this is a very sophisticated dexterity game. I think just the components alone really elevate it from like a kid feeling game to a much more, you can have it on your coffee table on display and just out, ready to play when people come over. This is one I definitely want to have out with the holidays approaching. I think it just has such a nice aesthetic and it just looks beautiful on the table. And of course, it's really easy to learn. It's like, hey, draw the mission card, do what it says, and earn the points. And the game really doesn't take too long. Most games that we played were within 20 minutes, and you're just trying to get to that 20-point threshold and the game is over. So Moku Tower, the Endless Column, is definitely a fun, beautiful dexterity game. If that is something you're looking for, I will link their Kickstarter down in the description of this video so you can check it out. As always with these videos, I just want to give you an idea of how this game works so you can decide if it's a good fit for your home and your gaming table, or in this case, maybe coffee table. Well, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.